Robert Plank Show, episode 136. You are in the money getting business. Selling Domination with Rodney Hughes. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Robert Plank Show. We're talking about making money and building an online business. Our guest today is Rodney Hughes, who is an author, international speaker, and a high performance sales trainer who focuses on delivering results through collaborative and creative problem solving. Lots of cool stuff. Welcome to the show, Rodney.
Hey, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Cool, and I'm happy that you are here. So, could you tell me about what it is that you do and what makes you different and special?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for the last decade, what I've been focused on is I create sales and marketing solutions for various different organizations. I've worked with the federal government, nonprofit organizations. I've worked with many different private sector organizations, and what I do is I pretty much go in, figure out where the gaps are in the business, and create strategies to solve that, whether it be online sales and marketing solutions, or whether it's in-person sales and marketing solutions.
Okay, great. So, could you give us an example of that?
Yeah. So as an example, I'll give you my most recent one. There's a gentleman that I'm working with that I just got finished working with, actually, who owns he has a barbecue company. So he does like barbecue sauces and things of that nature. And so one of the things we did for him is we created a lead generation website for him so that he can start collecting the contact information of the people that are interested in what he's offering, from as far as sauces and things of that nature. And we're helping him, and we help create a strategy that's we're trying to get him to have at least 5,000 new subscribers over the course of the next 2 years, so that he can have a basis for driving online sales.
Awesome. So you're making the whole website for him and an opt-in form and traffic and all that good stuff.
Yeah, all that type of stuff, and then also, helping him come up with uh, online and offline strategies to actually drive that forward.
Okay, so like what?
Like, say it again.
Like what? What strategies are you using to get those 5,000 subscribers coming in?
Yeah, sure. So, this particular gentleman, he goes to various like flea markets and various different um, retail locations. And so while he's out, what I mentioned to him was that, you know it's one thing to get that immediate dollar, right? Which you definitely always want to drive sales. But the reality is that sometimes situations come up, and either people didn't feel like buying right there in that moment, or maybe they might want to buy a little bit later or whatever. And so what we did was we said, listen, when you have people and you're giving out samples, hey, here, offer this irresistible offer right here that's going to intrigue them, and make them want to actually jump on your list. And then once a week, you want to actually give a recipe of the week, or just, I tried to teach him how to, also do a little bit of video blogging as well, so that he can have other ways of actually engaging with these people once they get on his list. But he's building his list primarily through, when he's giving samples to people, he has an irresistible offer that he shares with them, and they decide whether or not they want to jump on his list at that time.
Interesting. So are you seeing like the with these businesses that you're helping out, such as like this barbecue man and stuff like that? Are you seeing that the pieces that are missing for a lot of these businesses, is it the really simple stuff, or is it more like advanced and complicated stuff?
Um, 9 times out of 10, it's really the simple stuff. I'll tell you, like I told him, it surprises me. Just think about this for a second. Think about how many businesses that you've been to personally, okay, over the last year, that you had a really, really great experience. Maybe it was a new restaurant. Like, have you gone to a new restaurant lately that you really, really liked?
In the past few months, yeah.
Okay, great. While you were at that restaurant, At any time throughout that from the moment that you walked in that restaurant, did they try to get to actually engage with you and get you to opt in to some type of either coupon service or anything along those lines?
Opting in, no, but if they had, I for sure would have opted in.
Got it. And so I want you to really think about this for a second, okay? The average American comes in contact with, it's estimated, comes in contact with somewhere between 5 to 7,000 ads every single day. And that might be shooting it a little bit short if they're in a huge market like Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles, or somewhere like that. So if they're coming in, if the average American is coming in contact with that many ads, what that means is that simultaneously they're coming in contact with like 5,000 to 7,000 different promises every day. And so because they're coming in contact with all of that, all of these promises and all of these offers and all of just all this stuff, what ends up happening is it creates an environment where the average person is trying to block out a whole bunch of different stuff, right?
Right.
And so as a business owner, if you do a good enough job, think about all the things that you have to do that restaurant had to do to actually even become a blip on your radar to where they were even able to get you to come in and try their actual food. Now they did all this work. They probably invested thousands of dollars in advertising. And then when you come in there, you have an amazing experience. But then when you leave, they didn't even ask to connect with you. So now what ends up happening is, as a business owner, that forces that business owner to have to borrow on other people's lines of communication. Because that's really all you're doing when you're advertising. When you advertise it on the Super Bowl, you paid millions of dollars because you're trying to borrow the Super Bowl's actual line of communication with their end users, right?
Right.
When you advertise on the radio, when you advertise anywhere, you're paying to borrow on the line of communication. Now you've done all this work to get a person to come into your establishment, and you're not even attempting to connect with them so that you can own your own line of communication.
Interesting.
Okay?
Right.
That is what we call, and I'm not trying to be rude here, but it really, in business, that is penny wise and dollar foolish. Because what you're doing is you're doing a lot of work up front to get them to come through the door so that you can make that immediate sale. But what about all the other sales, right? Is it possible that restaurant that you went to that you would want to go back sometime, right?
If I liked it, for sure.
Yeah, if you liked it, yeah, you would want to go back. But guess what? Is it also possible that you're distracted with all kind of stuff going on at the job, stuff going on in your family, stuff just regular day-to-day habitual things that you do every day? And is it possible that it might not cross your mind to go back there? But
Oh,
if
oh
they
yeah.
would have been connected with you and would have found creative ways to stay in communication with you, that they might have would have you might have would have thought to yourself, "Oh man, it's been a minute since I went there. Maybe I should go back."
So would you say that with these businesses that you're helping out, is this one of the first things you look for, some way for them to capture some leads and follow up?
Well, from my well, yes and no. So when I look at a business, what or when my company as a whole looks at a business, me and my team, what ends up happening is I train my entire team. What I guess you could say our unique selling proposition is that we help companies explode their sales performance in 90 days or less. Okay. And the way that we do that is we really focus on identifying four key things. Number one is how well do they handle obscurity, right? Because here's the reality. If you're in a place of obscurity as a business, then you can have the greatest product in the world, but I can't do business with you if I don't know you exist, right?
Right.
So, very first thing I look at with any organization is how well are they at overcoming obscurity. The second thing is I look for missed opportunities. Where are you missing opportunities? And so this particular scenario that I just explained to you, that was a missed opportunity. Those are missed opportunities where he's not trying to connect, where he wasn't previously connecting with people who showed interest in what it is he had to offer. So that's why we created strategies to take advantage of that and to actually effectively address that situation. Okay.
Okay.
The third thing that I look for is I look for what's already working in the business, and I try to we try to enhance that. Okay, and so if you're knocking it out the park, selling a whole bunch of different sauces, how can we enhance that? How can we get people to buy more sauces, or how can we get people to buy other complementary products or whatever? And then the fourth thing that we look for is we look at where is the business wasting time and wasting effort. Because at the end of the day, uh, there's no difference between your business and Microsoft. There's no difference between Microsoft and Berkshire Hathaway. At the end of the day, every single business has 24 hours to get things done. And if you're investing a lot of time, energy, and resources into things that are not working, that are not getting you the results that you really need to get done, you're better off just eliminating those things. And so when we couple all four of those things together and take a look at an organization, it allows us to create sales and marketing solutions that can really drive things forward and do it in a very fast manner.
Cool. So it's customized to them then.
Yes.
Cool. So just to make sure that I got your 4 points right. So you look at these four things. Number one, how they handle obscurity. Number two, the missed opportunities. Number three, what's already working that you can enhance. And then number four, where they're wasting the time and effort.
Correct.
So, I mean, something that you mentioned a few minutes ago, a little bit offhandedly, is with this particular case study that you're mentioning, you get like in this case, what he was doing was he was going to these events and he was getting people on a list and sending them offers. And you mentioned really quick that you had some creative ways to get people back to the business. So do you have any kind of any cool like just creative things you've been doing lately that are kind of maybe not the usual stuff in order to help someone's business?
Got it. And so, I mean, it really varies because something that is not usual in one industry might be completely usual in another industry, right? And so it's not usual to have an opt-in type of situation for a company that sells barbecue sauce. And so I think that sometimes business owners they are trying to be super unique with things, and I think you can be unique sometimes just by looking at what's working in other industries. And so, as an example, the let's say the drive-through window, right? The drive-through window actually at restaurants actually came from the banking industry, right? So they got that from the banking industry, and it allowed them to be very effective. The drive-through concept was not a new concept, but it was new to an industry. And so they were able to implement it. And now it's just almost a common way of doing business now for fast food industries. And what I usually do is I look at other industries and see what's working very well and see is there any way that we can make that work for a particular business in a particular situation.
I like that, and that's pretty powerful. And that makes me think of, I mean, I kind of wish more businesses had drive-throughs, right? Or even I remember like a few years ago, I was playing around with like Domino's Pizza's website. I think I might have bought a Domino's pizza one time, and
Hmm.
then at some point I ended up on their like text blast list, and I know for sure that I didn't unsubscribe from it, but I might have just stopped getting the messages because I stopped, buying from them. But I
Hmm.
thought it was kind of cool that they would not only, be building this list of all these SMS subscribers, but they would go and send a message like right before lunch. So that's
Yeah.
that's kind of a cool thing where like any other, in any other industry that's not doing that, that seems like a pretty easy way to find the low hanging fruit there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, um, I think that see, here's the deal. One of the ways that I like, so in my book, right, the very first principle that I mentioned in my book is the 10 principles of selling domination. It says you're only in one business, you're in the money getting business. Never forget that. And so the reason why I say that and the reason why that's the leading principle is because the problem that a lot of people have is number one, they have no earthly idea what business they're in. Okay? Every single business, there's only one business on God's green earth. Hey, guess what? Wells Fargo is in the exact same business as Walmart. Walmart is in the exact same business I'm in. I'm in the exact same business you're in, and go and so on and so on and so on. We're in the money getting business, and that's not about being greedy. It's about focus, right? And so, what people, if you don't understand that you're in the money getting business, then your focus isn't going to be right, right? See, if you understand that you're in the money getting business, right? Now you may be in a different industry. There are many different industries, many different products, many different services. But if you understand that you're in the money getting business, the reason why that will help you tremendously is because then you'll get to understand, like, okay, well, if we're all in the same business, then I might easily be able to see what's going on in a industry that I know nothing about, but that is working that I see is working very well, and I might be able to get something from that and make it work in my industry, right? Because at the end of the day, the goal is always the same, which is to find people that you can serve and help, and collect money in exchange for serving and helping them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I think that's some pretty dang good advice because I think that when I was younger, I would not really pay a lot of attention to other businesses, and I think that once I started looking at these other businesses that seem to be doing well and saying, okay, well, here's like what they're doing to get people in, and I can kind of guesstimate, okay, they get this number of people in per day, and they're probably making this amount of money. Like it helps to it helps to, instead of in the past I would kind of write these other businesses off, to kind of look at it from an outsider perspective and almost like a reverse engineering perspective, and just kind of look at what it is that they're doing, and it seems like if they keep doing it, it must be working for them.
Yes, exactly.
So would you say that with all these businesses you helped, would you say that their big mistake is that they're not comparing themselves to other businesses, or would you say that there's an even bigger thing they're all missing out on?
It's not so much about comparing yourself to other businesses. I think some of the biggest things that people miss out on is that they. I think sometimes people want this to be very difficult. Okay, and what I mean by that is there's a lot of things that are very, very simple, right? But it doesn't mean that it's easy, but it is simple, right? And so, like, if at the end of the day, if you understand that if you have a great product, service, or solution, which I urge everyone to represent great product, services, and solutions, but if you're not doing everything you possibly can every single day to get out and let people know about what it is that you're doing, you're not setting yourself up for success, right? And see, here's the thing: a lot of people in business, or a lot of people that I encounter in business, let's put it that way. A lot of people that I encounter in business, they fall in love with the business so much that they don't focus on the things that actually make the business work, right? So, and what I mean by that is, let's say you're a baker, right? First off, like I said, there's only one business on God's green earth. But if you think you're in the baking business, then you're not going to perform nearly as high as another baker down the street that understands that they're in the money getting business, right?
Right.
And this is proof. Listen, this is 100% proven. Let's use McDonald's as an example, right? McDonald's is in the money getting business. If you look at just how they operate, it doesn't take long for you to understand that they understand they're in the money getting business, right? If I was in a room full of a million people and I asked a million people to raise your hand and say, how many of you know who McDonald's is? Almost everybody, if not everybody, would put their hands up. Would you agree?
Yes, I would.
Okay. If I was in that same room right after I asked that question and I say, hey, how many of you have had a better hamburger than McDonald's? I'm almost sure that 100% of everybody would raise their hand and say, hey, I've had a better hamburger somewhere else.
Oh
Would
yeah.
you agree with that?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And then right after that, I say, now let me ask you something. How many of those places that you had the better hamburger at can say 90 billion served?
None.
Nobody's hands would go up.
Interesting. What you're saying is you're seeing a lot of people who they fall in love with the business, or like they, like you use the baker example. Like you could have a baker who they love baking, but they ignore the business side of it, or they don't focus on making it a machine or a system that just works really smoothly and keeps bringing people in and keeps making money, and that's a huge problem. You're saying.
Exactly. Exactly. There are too many people that have really, really great products, and they invest a considerable amount of time into making sure the product, the service or solution is great. And I'm not against that. I'm totally for that. I want you to have represent great, great stuff because it really does help. And I want you to focus on understanding business. You understand? You're good at what you do, which is either if you're a chiropractor, you're good at doing chiropractic stuff, right? If you're an accountant, maybe you're great at crunching numbers, and that's great. I want you to be great at that, but don't neglect being the business, right? Because the
Right.
business is what's going to differentiate you, right? The business is what's going to ultimately lead to your great success. Doesn't it suck to have a great product, service, or solution, and you look down the street and you're getting your head beat in by somebody who has a far less superior product, service, or solution in the exact same market that you're in?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of a blow to the ego there.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But guess what? If the person down the street understands, hey, I'm in the money getting business, right? Then they're probably going to have way better sales results than you have if you think that you're in whatever other business you think you're in.
Cool. So it sounds like that people, if they want, they can kind of have the best of everything, right? They can have a good business that everyone knows about, and they can be good at whatever skill it is that they're in.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally believe that you can be great at both things. I just feel that it's just a matter of focus and intention. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Um, if you neglect, see, that's the thing. A lot of people neglect the business side of things, right? They neglect the marketing, right? They don't want to do that. They're just like, man, I just want to bake, right? In that baker scenario, they're just like, man, I just like cooking, period. Well, if that's the case, then maybe that should just be, if you're not willing to do the things to make the business grow big enough to where it would be happy for you. Everybody doesn't want to be a millionaire, billionaire, or whatever, right? But if you're not willing to learn what it takes to get to the level of success that you desire from a business standpoint, then maybe that should just be a hobby and you should just get a job.
Right. I mean, kind of harsh advice, but I mean, I think that a lot of people need to hear that.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just trying to call it
Be
how I see
real.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're not willing, that's just like if you want to lose weight and you're not willing to work out and change up how you eat, well then you can't outwork a bad diet. I mean, I don't know what else to say to you. You can
Right.
buy as many gym memberships as you want.
Right. I mean, I agree with you there, and I think that this is really important. I think that this is something that every business owner needs to hear, especially if they're maybe making things a little too hard on themselves, and it doesn't have to be that way. So, can you tell us about your website and your coaching and your book and all that cool stuff?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. If my website is www.marketingss.com. I have a book called Selling Domination, Your Blueprint for Selling More and Generating an Extraordinary Income. It's a fantastic book. It's a short read. And I wrote this book because I wrote the book that I wish I would have been able to have when I first got started in business. Um, I want it to be a quick read that is really packed with value. And so anybody that's in business, doesn't matter whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, sales professional, no matter what, this is a great book for somebody to have, even if you're not even in business, because selling is such an integral part of success, period. I don't care what field that you decide to go into. This would be a great book to have. And so if you wanted to pick up a copy of that, you can get it at www.sellingdominationbook.com. robert.com. If you want more free, just information from me directly, and you kind of like the way that I look at business and like to learn more. If you go to my regular website, Marketing SS, and that's Sam is short for Marketing Synergy Solutions. If you go to marketingss.com, you go to my video blog section, you'll see I have tons of content that you can have access to. And so there you go.
Awesome. So lots of cool stuff. Sellingdominationbook.com and marketingss.com. So Rodney, thanks for being on the show and thanks for sharing what you have to share with us. And I appreciate everything you have to say.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I hope that I was able to give some great value, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.
Looking forward to that too. Thanks a bunch. Hey, it's Robert Plank again. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Rodney, so make sure to go to robertplank.com/iTunes and subscribe to the show right now. Thank you very much.